This is a special report here on Spectrum News. It is almost 9:30 a.m. on the East Coast, and we are just seconds away from the opening bell on Wall Street. President-elect Donald Trump is going to be ringing the bell today to mark the start of trading at the New York Stock Exchange. He's also celebrating being named Time Magazine's Person of the Year. Now, we know he campaigned very hard on the economy, which ended up being the #1 issue for voters on Election Day. As we look in there before the start of trading and the ringing of the bell, we see that Trump is accompanied by Vice President J.D. Vance and members of his family, including his wife, Melania Trump. Oh, let's listen in. Well, there you have it. President-elect Donald Trump ringing the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange today, Thursday, December 12th. Marking the start of trading. He's receiving a lot of cheers. We hear USA, USA. Once again, Trump is accompanied by Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, his family members, including his wife, Melania. I want to bring in now Spectrum's Angie Gonzalez. She's in Washington, D.C. Angie, can you, between this appearance by the president-elect at the New York Stock Exchange and the cover of Time magazine, it's a very high-profile day for Trump.
Yeah, a really big day for him, Bree. One of his advisors actually posted on social media a little bit earlier today, "We're back." And of course, remember, Bree, it was less than a year ago. Hard to believe, but back in April, Trump was actually in New York City day after day in a courtroom that's actually not far from the stock exchange, facing charges in connection to that so-called hush money case, which ended up in his getting multiple felony convictions. But after his election last month, he's really riding high. Bree?
Let's look at this from a historical context. Has any other president ever rung the opening bell at the stock exchange?
Yeah, I think when people think about people ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, they certainly think about CEOs, companies that may be going on to the stock exchange in an initial offering or something like that. But former presidents have done so in the past. Actually, back in 1985, Ronald Reagan became the first sitting U.S. president to ring the bell. Of course, we know that Trump's wife, Melania, also did open the stock exchange during her first time as First Lady. She actually used the opportunity not to talk about a specific business, but to talk about her public awareness campaign as First Lady, which was known as Be Best. So, Bree, there is some historical precedent here, but this is the first time that the president-elect is actually taking on this honor on his own, again, in conjunction with that new title of being Time Magazine's Person of the Year for 2024. Bree?
Are we supposed to infer some symbolism with Trump at the stock exchange? We talked about this. The economy was a huge issue this election cycle. We saw huge gains in the stock market right after he was elected.
Yeah, so Republicans certainly have pointed to the economy, and so have pollsters as well, as the biggest issue for them, certainly last month, helping him win not only the White House, but Republicans were able to keep control of the House. They were able to flip the Senate majority over to the GOP. And so as the Democratic presidential candidate, you'll remember that Vice President Kamala Harris really acknowledged things like high inflation, more of Americans' economic concerns during her brief campaign. But in the post-analysis of her loss to Trump, people looked back at that and really said that Democrats didn't do as good of a job as they probably could have in getting their economic message out to the American people. Of course, Trump really hammered home the message during his campaigning that the economy was in the middle of a downturn, and that was a message, Bree, that really seemed to resonate with the American public leading into the 2024 election.
And we heard that from voters all the way along during the election cycle, that the economy was really what mattered to them. That was whether they had money in their pockets or inflation was too much. We also see Trump laying out a lot of economic promises before he's taking office. What can you tell us about these?
Yeah, so normally what we do see after a win, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, you see some sort of bounce in the numbers at the stock exchange. The Dow, the NASDAQ, they all rose after Trump's win. All three indexes topped records that they had set in recent weeks. Now, the stock market has, as we mentioned, tend to rise regardless of which party wins the White House. But right now there's uncertainty on Wall Street, despite the cheers, despite the USA chants there on Wall Street today. There are concerns about what a second Trump term is going to mean for the economy. There were economists before the election who sort of were critical of his plans in terms of things like tariffs. There are some sectors we're expecting are going to see a real boost from some of Trump's proposals, while others may suffer. But on the tariffs angle, he has mentioned higher tariffs, although the numbers have sort of varied from conversation to conversation on exactly how much he wants to add to tariffs on foreign goods. But some analysts have suggested that that cost spree is going to be passed on to consumers. Now, some of Trump's other campaign promises, things like plans to lower taxes, we're just going to have to wait and see exactly how those things are received when they're rolled out. Bree?
And the tariffs he's looking across the board at where he's going to implement them. You know, there's talks of Canada, of Mexico, of China, really across the board. All right, Angie Gonzalez, thank you so much for your context. I want to thank you at home for watching. I'm Bree Driscoll. We have more news right here on Spectrum News. New information in the arrest of Luigi Mangione. New York police saying evidence found at the scene of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson's murder points to Mangione.
First, we got the gun in question back from Pennsylvania. It's now at the NYPD crime lab. We were able to match that gun to the 3 shell casings that we found in Midtown at the scene of the homicide. We were also able at our crime lab to match the person of interest's fingerprints with fingerprints that we found on both the water bottle and the Kind bar near the scene of the homicide in Midtown.
Investigators say they also have the 26-year-old's notebook, which includes a manifesto suggesting a hatred for corporate greed. The Franklin wildfire in Malibu is still posing significant dangers this morning, but cooling temperatures have helped firefighters battle the flames. Our Jenna Enoch explains.
The Franklin fire sweeping through Southern California, wind-driven flames sparking thousands of evacuations and destruction. One Malibu resident came back to check on his home to find it was luckily spared.
When you walk out, you can walk out, right over here, and you could see the fires rolling in from, over the canyon. It was like, holy crap, this is real.
Others living in Malibu weren't so lucky. Some came back to sift through their fire-damaged property. Much of the coastal city is under evacuation orders and warnings. Today, the fire is expected to switch directions and could push smoke as far east as downtown L.A.
But it was insane. It was I'd never seen anything like it before. I'm from Texas, so these California fires are different, very different.
The fire is only 7% contained. The red flag warnings, which indicate conditions for high fire danger, have been discontinued. Firefighters were able to access the steep terrain and battle the fire Wednesday, thanks to cooler temperatures and improving weather conditions. Jenna Enoch, Spectrum News.
Ahead on our political buzz analysis of the largest single-day act of clemency in modern history. Stay with us.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
T-Mobile home internet relies on cell phone towers, so when the network gets busy, things can slow down.
I hate peak time.
Get faster, more reliable internet speeds. Get Spectrum.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting, with stories that inspire and news that matters. Streaming live on your smart TV and connected devices, plus on-demand weather forecasts. It's all there as you step outside with the Spectrum News mobile app, keeping you informed and in the know throughout your day. Spectrum News Plus, local stories connecting communities. Exclusively for